Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who has somehow never listened to an album by Rex Orange County. I'm going to be reviewing his album Who Cares, and I will tell you who cares. My daughter cares. Part of the reason I do this channel is as a dad, I try to connect with my kids and with my family through the music that I review. It gives me a chance to really be active in their interests. And for about the last year, my daughter, frankly, can't shut up about Rex Orange County. Keeps telling me how good his music is, how good his voice is, how good his songwriting is. And she keeps saying, "Dad, you got to review something by him." And I say, "Listen, when he comes out with a new album, I will review it." And so that's what I'm doing. Now, this isn't the first time I've reviewed something that she enjoys, and it reminds me a little bit of a couple years ago. So, now she's into bedroom pop. That's sort of her thing, sort of bedroom music. But a couple years ago, she was more emo and more into emo pop. And this reminds me a little bit of what I said about Panic at the Disco, where when I listened to it, I said, if this is the pop, then where's the emo? And with this album, Who Cares, I'm kind of saying, if this is the pop, then where's the bedroom? It really does just feel like excellent, well-made pop music. Now, before I go on, I need to tell you what my daughter says. She listened to it. I used to have her on the show a fair amount. She would wear a goat mask. I don't do that anymore because parasocial relationships as a teenager are dangerous on either side. So I don't want to do that to her anymore. I did it for a little while, but it's not a good plan. But I will at least tell you what she said. In her opinion, how does this compare with this other music? She said it feels more external. It feels less bedroomy than other albums of his. It feels more centralized on the vocals. She said it sounds like Wii music, but good. I don't know what that means. If you're a young person out there, like my daughter, why don't you tell me what Wii music, but good means? And her main criticism is that sometimes the lyrics are bland, and I think I will get to that. Please excuse the sound of my dog snoring. They are right next to me while I'm recording, and it's kind of a cold day out. It's snowing here in Rochester, and I'm just going to let them be there. So let that be your ASMR as you listen to this video, as Bo saws logs. So there's my daughter's review. Wii music, but good, a little bit more external. That sense that I had of this not really feeling like a bedroom pop album is matched, I think, by her interpretation of it, although she wanted to emphasize that she really likes it and she really enjoyed listening to it. She might have even been on this video, but she's in quarantine. It feels like my family is always in quarantine, so there you go. Now, I read another review somewhere, and it mentioned that this album, and in general, Rex Orange County, tends to be someone who is into 70s AM pop. And that's an interesting thing, because I never thought about that as a genre. I grew up in the 80s, so when they talk about 70s AM pop, I know that basically means a bunch of music that I hated growing up. Yet, how was The Weeknd's last album defined as 70s AM pop? And this 70s AM pop seems to be having a moment. I have a suspicion that this moment is based on this new generation's permanent quest for a vibe, some kind of reassuring sound in their music that allows them to feel relaxed as opposed to agitated. I don't know if it's because of all the outside input, all the agitating things that are happening, this Generation Z, which appears to be going between 100 gecs and yeet, sort of going between very aggravating sounds and sounds which are sort of designed to lull you into a sense of sleepy happiness. I don't quite know. There seems to be something there. Sonically, what I like about this album and the way it's produced and the way it's written is that it's all about the interaction between the strings and the rhythm section. So the rhythm section, by that I of course mean bass and drums, they seem to come in at different times and they play off of and with and against the string section, so that you have, a string section implies a certain amount of grandiosity, a certain amount of seriousness, in the production, and a simple rhythm section implies something a little bit more intimate, a little bit more rock, a little bit more soul. And if you just pay attention to that, it's astounding how well this album is made. Of course, this guy's voice, Rex, I guess his name isn't Rex. That's the reason I didn't want to review him, actually. It annoys me because Orange County annoys me. because Orange County is a county in California where Anaheim is, and Orange County is also a county in Florida where Disney World is. So Disney World and Disneyland are in two different Orange counties. I've had to organize events in both Orange counties. Hey, get a new name, California and Florida. And then this guy isn't even from California or Florida. He's from England somewhere. So I don't know. I'm sure someone will tell me in the comments why is he called Rex Orange County. That was something that kind of annoyed me. But he is definitely the star of this album. It sort of spiritually reminds me a lot of a Billie Eilish album. Not in the way that it sounds, but in the way it's produced. So if you look at the credits, there's a guy. He's a Dutchman, speaking of orange, the official color of Holland, named Benny Sings. And he is, for all intents and purposes, the Phineas of this album. He co-writes and he plays basically every single instrument. He programs everything. He produces everything. It really feels like he's the one doing so much of this work, while Rex gets to be sort of the star and the face of it and the co-writer. So I like that dynamic. This is part of what I think good pop music is doing now, where instead of having, okay, Bo, we get it. Instead of having like 10 or 15 producers on an album, you just get one, maybe two, and then it has, I guess an artisanal feel, more of a personal feel, more of a cohesive vision, as opposed to a bunch of studio heads getting together and deciding. I'm going to agree and disagree with my daughter's take on the lyrics. I do agree that it can be bland sometimes, but my problem more is that it's problematic sometimes. I'll get into that. I know. Using the word problematic on YouTube is a highway to the danger zone. I am totally Kenny Loggins about that, but we'll talk about that. I do like the lyrics though in general, because they're in general fairly strong love songs, dealing with fame, that appears to be a theme, the difficulty of trying to be an outward-facing person. And I think a lot of the album lyrics that I don't like are, it seems like he's really trying to be a heartthrob. Now, I'm not going to blame anybody who wants to be a heartthrob. But when you're on the cover of your album playing with Dalmatian dogs, you're trying a little hard. If you're a handsome guy and you're a pop star singer, you don't also need to pose with dogs. It reminds me one year I went to a Halloween party and the handsomest guy who was in my circle thought it would be funny if he got dressed up as James Bond for Halloween, which just meant that the handsomest guy in my circle was wearing a tuxedo. Like, dude, that doesn't count. You're just hot, and now you're hotter. That's not a Halloween costume. It feels a little bit like that with just being pictured with puppies, trying to be so cute, so adorable, just a real heartthrob. But that's the thing, why not? It does remind me of Brandon Urie. Why not? There's a lot worse people to be. At least he's a good artist. At least he's a good songwriter. At least he's a good performer. Why not? The main thing I'll say about this album is every time I listened to it, I liked it more. Like, I listened to it first, I was like, yeah, it's a pretty good pop album. Second time, like, actually, this is a really good pop album. Third time, I was getting excited for the next song. I don't give ratings, you know what I'm saying? I don't give ratings. I just give thoughts. That's what I do on this channel. So I'm not going to give it a rating, but there are signs of what might make a good album into a great album, and liking it more each time I play it is a really good sign. And probably the best sign is I'm already thinking ahead to the concert. Like, I'm already thinking about taking my daughter to the concert, and I'm looking forward to seeing him perform. I think it's going to be a good show. Like, I'm already just imagining it, and I don't even know if he's on tour or if he's going to tour. That's another good sign. So let me tell you, let's start off with my stamp from the album. That's my example song, my homework for you to listen to. If you've never heard Rex Orange County, I'm going to include it up there. It's called, sorry, I don't edit my videos either, and I left my coffee cup way over there. I got the snoring dogs and the coffee cup. Now I have to put the coffee cup on the couch. My wife doesn't like it when I do that. It's okay. I'm going to put an example of the music that he makes up here with the song Shoot Me Down. My favorite song on the album. I love the production on this. It's got kind of like sloppy toms for the drums and a piano. Just really energetic, really rhythmically interesting. Great. And really, I think the best song on here, the best, his voice is the most engaging, the most personal. I like the themes of this song, trying to stay together, not too vague. He's not in the area of sort of kind of creepy boundary avoiding flattery. What if this heartbreak becomes something that cannot heal? Simple, straightforward pop lyrics that are good. But what I love is how much it does that, what I'm talking about. The mixture of a good rhythm section and an orchestra. There's like this little break where we just have a piano, a bass, and the voice. And then eventually some strings come in. It's a sort of uplifting moment in a sad song. And then it goes from like this like pop thing into a total jazz thing. And he's singing in a completely jazzy style with a piano. And then you think that the outro is here. You think you're at the end of the song. You have this energetic string outro, choo 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 choo, and you think it's over, but then actually there's one more ending, Return of the King. Third ending, The Batman. Fourth ending is actually a piano and bass outro. But it ends up giving the whole song kind of an epic scope to it, and it's just great. Really have a listen to that, especially just the beginning with the toms and the way they go with the piano and his voice. It's spectacular. It's really good. Please tell me in the comments if the dog snoring is too... I can't... Let me show you. How could I wake these guys up? Right? I can't do it. I'm a humanitarian. That means I don't eat humans. Next, okay, I'm now going to go through the rest of the album. I just made that joke up. I regret it entirely. I'm going to going to go through the rest of the album, song by song. It starts off with the song "Keep It Up." This is that real 70s AM feeling, sort of Steely Dan-ish at times, I guess. Sort of announces the theme of and the atmosphere of the album by starting off with some strings and then come in this really awesome tight rhythm section with the drums and the bass. His voice is so clear and upfront. He seems to be struggling with fame, a theme throughout this album. I guess I'm blessed is the question. And this pops up all over the place, all over the place in music these days. Just I guess I'm blessed. Like, I guess I'm lucky to be so famous. Some chimes in there. In general, any song that has chimes I don't like, but there's a couple songs in this album which are fine. Repeats the chorus over and over again. It's very clear, like every song on here. It wouldn't surprise me if any or every song became a pop hit. I mean, they're all very well constructed, very well put together, and they all work as pop songs. Ends with kind of a 70s string outro, so it begins and ends with the strings. Next song is called "Open a Window." It's called "Keep the Door Open." I'm sorry. It's this one is called "Open a Window." "Keep the Door Open" is a different song about apertures in houses that's very 70s influenced and interesting and groovy and funky. That's my cute way of saying you very much feel the Silk Sonic influence on this track, I believe. It's not like what Rex Orange County is doing on the rest of the album is that far away from that anyways, but this song really feels the most like imitating, probably just because you get the sense that they listen to the song "Keep the Door Open," open a window, like what's next, like prop open the hatch. What I like here is the bass has a very subtle chaos effect on it. It's like sort of a weird kind of compression effect on it. Great dynamics, again, between the strings and the rhythm section. If you listen to this album a lot, if you're a fan of Rex Orange County, just listen to that. Listen to it one time all the way through and only focus on the strings and the rhythm section. It's really quite nice. I did, for research purposes, I don't do a ton of research, but I do a little, listen to some of Billy Strings' music, and it does seem like Billy Strings is bringing that in. That appears to be one of his main contributions, is this interplay between strings and this rhythm section, which creates this great 70s feel. Tyler, the Creator, is on here. So the last thing I reviewed was Benny the Butcher, or Benny the Butter, as I call him. And it's funny because he has a verse, or maybe Stove God Cooks has a verse about not being able to turn on the air conditioning because there's a brick of cocaine in the air conditioning. And in this song, Tyler talks about not being able to turn on the AC, not being able to vent because the AC is broken. Totally coincidental. It's just odd that these things are a little bit connected. In a similar way, he ends his verse by saying he will keep silent like the last E in silence. Now, I do not want to anger anybody because I understand now. I recently watched the Fantano and Sean C interview, which was interesting. And I don't want to anger anybody. But like Jack Harlow just released a verse on Donda 2 in which he talked about the letter E and its placement in a word. I am not saying that Jack Harlow is better than Tyler the Creator. I'm not saying that at all. But I do wonder if there isn't some kind of influence here, because it's not like Tyler wouldn't have heard that verse, and it's remarkable when he says, like the second E in February, I think is the line. I don't know. Maybe that's just a coincidence. Feel free to hate me in the comments. I will say, this is my favorite Tyler feature of the album. Of the subgenre of Tyler features on 70s AM pop inspired albums from the first 3 months of 2022, that subgenre, this is the best. This is much better than his feature on The Weeknd. He feels more into it. He feels more activated. He seems more thematically linked to the song itself. Next song is called Worth It. This isn't 70s at all. This is so 90s. Like, this is like Sugar Ray or some kind of like song that I would have heard and pretended to hate, but actually sung and actually sort of liked. It's got this great sort of orchestral start, and then it becomes like an orchestral loop. Like, it changes orchestral sounds. Cool kind of popping octave bass work. A very cool upbeat drum loop. I mean, this is that upbeatness that my daughter's talking about. And this loop is just so nice, this orchestral loop. At a certain point, there's just strings and voice with kind of snaps. This is a part where, of all the 70s artists who might fit into the 70s AM sound, my personal favorite is Harry Nilsson. I do hear a fair amount of that on this album. And then there's a moment in here with the instrumental bridge that is just the most 90s hook I've ever heard. This guitar that's echoing the melody that's being played over these loops. It's just, truly, it could have been... now that's what I call 90s Volume 4. Next song is called Amazing. Again, the strings lead into a rhythm section. This is a bad song. It's a well-produced song. It's got good structure. He has a beautiful voice. It's well-written, and I enjoy listening to it. And it's bad. Okay, I'm being intentionally contradictory here. This is the song where the lyrics bug the hell out of me, and they seem to be not up to his standard. This is the class of song that's like a love song that's very vague and very accepting, like You're Beautiful or Just the Way You Are. Any number of songs dedicated primarily to teen girls, which are very vague and supporting and loving. Don't change a thing, you're amazing, can't believe you saved me. I want to spend every day with you here. If anyone ever says, I can't believe you saved me, by the way, this is a message to all the people out there who ever might be in a relationship. If anyone, Bo just left. He doesn't want to hear the video anymore. If you ever hear somebody say, I can't believe you saved me, just run. Just get out of that relationship. It's not up to, you shouldn't save anybody. You shouldn't. That's not your job. That's boundaries. That's issues. So this whole song kind of reminds me of Bo Burnham's Repeat Stuff, where he sings about, talks about the banality of pop songs and how they're intentionally designed to be as vague as possible. I love your bluish, brownish, greenish eyes. I love the way your torso has arms, that kind of stuff. This just happens to be in that realm. But as I said, it's well produced. It's well written. It's got a beautiful voice, good structure. Interestingly, the next song is thematically similar, but doesn't fall into the exact same trap, One in a Million. I mean, just by the title, this is going to be another song. Ooh, girl, you're so rare. I can't believe how you are. I love you just the way you are, and you're the greatest, and gee, do I love you. Also, I'm playing with puppies. Starts with a piano and voice, very much in that kind of Nilsson mode, but without being tortured. Again, bass and drums come in. And this is the song where Goat, my daughter, just screamed from the back while we were driving to get her tests at the doctor's. She just said, this is the best song. So she was immediately into this song, immediately very, very into it. And it makes sense because I think there's kind of a sweetness to it. It is still saying like you're one of one, but without that element of like, and you saved me. I really love the pared down section in this. Just they play a lot of dynamics on this album. And there's this one line, "What the F am I waiting for? I can't wait anymore," something like that. Just British singers generally don't sing with a British accent. But this reminds me of James Blake's album from last year. I can't believe I can't. That appears to be the word that British pop star singers can't avoid. I really like the raggedness of his voice at the end. I wish they did that more. His voice is so engaging when it's a little bit rough, but it's very rarely rough here. If You Want It has some jagged synth strings and an 80s drum machine, and this feels, I don't know when this stuff was created. Maybe his real name is Alexander O'Connell. I know his initials are AOC, so there you go. I know that AOC makes a lot of music, so maybe this was recorded before The Weeknd came out with his album, and maybe they're just both in this 70s AM sandbox at the same time. But this feels, especially with the rumbling low synths, to be very connected to The Weeknd sound. But I really like his voice here. Again, it's a little bit vulnerable. "Let me be your boy if you want it." I don't know what an F-boy is. Like that terminology was created after I was a man, after I was in my mid-30s. It seemed like that's what this is an anthem for, though. Like, "I'll be your boy if you want me to be." I don't know. You can tell me in the comments if that's not... If this song is not an F-boy anthem, please tell me, because I don't know. I really like the bridge, too, how like they pare down the drums, then come in excitedly with the hi-hat. You're noticing I'm making all these production comments. And that's the Benny Strings thing. Benny Sings. It's just a very well-produced album. Especially continuing on the next song, 7 a.m. Cool sounds at the beginning. Really, really very Nilsson-ish at the beginning. And then he's kind of, because he had like a plunky piano with a gorgeous voice. He talks about being a better man someday. His position is ambiguous, because at times he talks about not being good enough and needing to be saved and wishing he's a better person. But he doesn't really go all in. And I think he's being honest. I think it would be easier for him to talk about being a piece of garbage or about being perfect. But the way that he is, he just sort of seems kind of like, sometimes I could be better, probably. Also reminds me a little bit of Lionel Richie in a very good way. I like Lionel Richie. I like the Commodores. I like that era, that part of 70s AM sounds. I wrote on here so I don't have a script, I have notes. I just said, happy if they played this at the dentist. I have all the worst music in the world at my dentist, and this is the kind of pop song which I hope takes off. That's the thing, we live in a society where music is all around us, and yet no one's ever listening to it. So I want more music like this to be popular, so that's what we hear. Great drums all the way throughout, great bass, that rhythm section, which Benny Sings is doing by himself. He's playing the drums and he's playing bass. He really deserves it. Really should be, this album should be Benny Sings and Rex Orange County, but I guess that wouldn't sell as well. Next song is called The Shade. Cool kind of sloppy guitars here. That, all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, here's a bedroom sound. Like the sloppy guitars, the other stuff that my daughter listens to is really marked by kind of sloppy, warbly guitars like you have here. Remember how I said you should run away from this guy? I changed my mind. Closing the blinds so you could sleep through the night. That's great. That's loving. That's care. More of emotional voice. For the first time, and I believe the only time in the album, correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, he doubles up his voice. So he ends one phrase and then begins another before the other one's over. It was interesting because, I guess because I was kind of in the Billie Eilish mindset, the way this album was produced, I just realized, like, oh my God, he doesn't double himself at all. He just has one voice this whole way through. He talks about going to Amsterdam to give space. I guess what he means is I'm going to Amsterdam to record this album and have this guy make all the music for me. Making Time is another song. This time, he's playing guitar. I think this is the only time he plays guitar on the album. This time it's acoustic. Again, kind of rough. This is the most bedroomy song, and I like it. I like the roughness. Next song is Shoot Me Down, which I already reviewed. And then the final song, Who Cares? I like it when albums end with the title track as opposed to opening. Gives you a sense that you're building towards something. Very cheesy song. And this is what I'm going to guess. I don't know. I don't know what my daughter means by it's wee music, but it's good. Should I make that the thumbnail? I might make that the thumbnail because I don't understand it. I think it's funny. I think it might be this because there's kind of like these cheesy and plunky pianos and drums, which I don't know. It seems a little too poppy, a little too easy. But then I like the chorus. I like the idea, now you care about who cares. This idea of trying to be free of other people's expectations and the position that he's in fame. So there you go. There's my review of the album. I liked it a lot. And I'm happy that my daughter's listening to it. And I hope that we get to listen to more of Rex Orange County. In case you're wondering, they both left. They couldn't take any more of it. That's okay. I want to thank my... this is my second video this weekend because I'm on spring break. Woo! And instead of going to Cancun and getting absolutely tanked, bro, I'm just staying here like I always do. So I'm doing extra videos this week because I have extra time. And my channel's doing super well. Thank you, everybody, for clicking on my videos and commenting and subscribing and smashing the like bucket. Like, seriously, like, I'm taking off. And you guys are here already. I'm at this point, you know, my professor job is going to become my side gig. This is going to be my main thing. So thanks to all these Patreons who have helped me by giving me money and supporting me. Okay, until next time, there's the camera.